Hello everyone, welcome to Cradix Tech. This is Shubham and today we are looking at the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max. This year I went with the 16 Pro because it has been more appealing to me and there are not many differences between the 16 Pro and the Pro Max this year. So let's get this video started, shall we? The design hasn't been upgraded this year, and they have been sticking with the same old design since the iPhone 12. There are a few changes on this design. The screen size has gone up by 2 inches, and it also has the new camera button. It also comes with ceramic shield, which has been updated to the second version, which I'm not going to test at all. I went for the black one this year as the new desert titanium is basically the new gold design, but it looks a lot more flashy and I don't dig it. The whole design this year has been the same but still feels fresh due to the small size I opted for this year. And also the new titanium finish feels a bit lighter as I have always opted for the Pro Max models since the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The phone feels premium with the new thin bezels, which are noticeable in day to day, and it also feels like the 120Hz upgrade that we got, where if you switch with the 60Hz, it just feels weird. Titanium frame and the small size upgrade might be a downgrade or upgrade to some, but I will any day welcome the Type C found on this phone. Thank you, EU regulations. The things that haven't been upgraded from the previous year, which still feels pretty good to add up, are the dynamic island has been the same. The action button is a fun addition as well, but I have mixed feelings about it as I have been confused between Shazam, Google Task app, or toggling on and off the lights. We'll have to keep each one to take advantage of it, and I will update you which one sticks for me. The camera layout has been the same as well, and finally it also has IP68 water and dust resistance up to 6 meters. Let's start with the best upgrade that has been updated, that's the camera. Or should I say the camera button. The camera button is new, any day going to welcome a new button on an iPhone. So this is a physical button, but it also supports lighter press with haptic feedback. Basically, with this, you can just open up camera for now as the Google Lens version of this isn't available yet. So in the settings, set this as the double click for camera as you don't want to accidentally click it. You can also set this for something else like the Instagram, magnifier, or a code scanner, or even turn it off altogether. When you double tap this, it opens up the camera, and if you light press on this, the camera comes up with a bit more options like selecting different styles, selecting different modes, focal lengths, zooming into the shot, selecting depth, or even adjusting the exposure. I'm not sure if you want to keep any of these, but if I want to select my favorite, I'll just select the cameras if I want to switch between them just in an instant. This is a good button for shutter and does feel natural for the placement of this button, but only issue with this is that it's too hard to press, shaking the phone and shaking the photos in the portrait mode. While operating this in the landscape mode, not that much of a trouble, and it feels pretty natural while clicking the photos in landscape. Cameras has been upgraded this year, and this still has the triple setup at the back. Primary lens is still this 48 megapixel sensor, and also telephoto is sticking with 12 megapixel, equivalent to 5x, which was the case with the last year's iPhone 15 Pro Max as well, but the ultrawide has gained a bump up to 48 megapixel, which is a new addition. But the photos coming out of all of these sensors are just amazing. Starting with the main 24mm lens, this is one of the best in the market and the photos coming out of this are just amazing. You can see it's usually the iPhone look that all the previous iPhones have been carrying. You can see it maintains the dynamic range in every scene, and the Fusion camera does make the details in fabric more appealing. Not that it matters. You can see the shadows and the highlights in the photos are maintained as well. This year it does take the default of 24 megapixel shots, which pack in more details, but also has less storage compared to the 48 megapixel raw photos. The ultrawide takes more detailed photos as well, and so the macro shots coming out of this phone are good. But you're always going to get the 12 megapixel shots out of those. If you want to get the full 48 megapixel resolution out of this ultra wide camera, you'll have to change the image to HEIF Max on the Pro RAW format. We will be comparing the photos with the other phones later. And the telephoto that's new on the 16 Pro is a good addition to have and does take up good photos, which was a long wait switching this to the telephoto lens on the iPhone, which we have been waiting for so long now. So all of these lenses have the same color sans, and so the photos taken have the same colors in them as well. Talking about the colors, the new thing that's added in the photo is the photographic styles. And there are a lot to choose from, especially the way it looks for every photo. Because of that, every photo taken just feels intentional. There isn't a perfect style for everyone, as it's meant for different photos, but if you ask my favorite style, I would definitely choose the neutral style, in which all the photos just look clean and not over-processed, with more HDR and sharpened image on every photo. I will be making a dedicated video for the camera modes and the setting later. Now comparing this with the 15 Pro Max, and you can see the photos are sometimes better on the 16 and sometimes on 15. You can see in the natural fusion photo, at first glance both the phones looks exactly the same, and true for the normal 24 megapixel photos. You can see almost no difference to the colors and the quality of the photos. Every photo just looks 95% similar to each other. Even the telephoto looks the same on both, and they are exactly the same sensors. And the ultrawide camera takes the same photos and are stuck with 12 megapixel on auto. But you can definitely take advantage of the ultrawide's Pro RAW, but not going to see much difference in the 48 megapixel shot in auto mode. Also comparing this with the S24 Ultra, the photos from this are comparable. But because of the faster lens for the iPhone 16 Pros, the S24 Ultra photos comes out a bit shaky and blurry. You can see in the car shot the display on this phone is a bit clear on the iPhone, which isn't the case with Samsung. I even tried taking more photos, but the result stays the same. And in the other shot, even though the iPhone clearly took a better shot, the Samsung took the appealing one due to the lens flare on it. The 5x on both of these are good and detailed, as the Samsung is a 64 megapixel 5x lens. If you ignore the contrast between both, you can see both look almost the same. Here in this normal shot, the details on iPhone are better compared to the S24, as the 16 Pro takes 24 megapixel shot. The food shots always looks better on Samsung, and it optimizes the shot according to the scene. In the night shot, the Samsung looks better as it maintains the color balance as well. I'm going to do a photo comparison between the 16 Pro, 15 Pro and the S24 Ultra, so stay tuned for that. Now looking into the video, and both the iPhones take the exact same video, but the only thing that's new this year is the video are shot at 120 fps instead of 60 on the previous year, where the video can be slowed down to 60 or 30 fps for slow motion capture. And even comparing with the S24 Ultra, which only does 4K at 120 in slow motion, it's not a comparison with the 16's HDR video, where you can see both the videos side by side in the morning and in bright light. The iPhone just looks more pleasing. Also, it records at 120 fps compared to 60, and the video looks more stabilized on the iPhone. But the 120 option is a great addition to have on this new phone, and I'm going to keep shooting all of my videos going forward in 4K at 120 fps, even though it takes a lot of storage, as it gives me more creative control over them if I wish to slow them down to 50% or 75%. The limitation with this in Australia is that we can only use the PAL format, which does 100 fps instead of 120, which is really annoying. and I can't use the full capability of iPhone. The good thing is that we can record log on this phone with ProRes support, which is an amazing thing, as this is one of the best video format for pros and it gives you a lot of flexible room to work around your color grading. But the large file sizes just make me stick with the regular video mode. This phone also comes with spatial audio. You are able to see that there are crows carving as well. But let's see if you can hear that just beside me. I'm just gonna flick just behind the camera as well, just to be sure if it works or not. But let's test it out. I'm not sure if the regular user is beside me. I'm just gonna flick just behind the camera as well, just to be sure. But let's see if you can hear that just beside me. I'm just gonna flick, but let's test it out. I'm not sure if the regular user is gonna notice this in day-to-day use and if they're gonna change it, but it definitely helps in our day-to-day use as well, as the call quality during this, due to the 6 microphones, is gonna be amazing. Let me know if you see any difference in the comments below. This phone also has spatial video, but I'm not going to record spatial video as I'm not going to buy Vision Pro anytime soon. Now that we have dealt with all the changes in the camera, let's focus on the other aspects of the phone as well. Coming to the performance on this phone, and it comes with A18 Pro chip in it, which is still stuck at 3 nanometers compared to this A17 Pro, which was the same. It also has 8 GB of RAM for all the 16 models, and this one is a 256 GB of storage. And I have been sticking with the 256 GB of storage since the iPhone 11 Pro Max. I really like how this Pro phone handles most of the intensive tasks at hand, just like the Pro Max. Seeing the mundane task will be a breeze to load, and it just keeps most of the previous apps in the background as well, thanks to the 8 GB of RAM. Also, checking the SSD speeds to transfer files between my SSD to iPhone is pretty much comparable to Samsung's S24 Ultra. As you can see, the 3.8 GB of file just takes roughly around 13.5 seconds for both to transfer. Coming to the games on this phone, and usually all of the high-end games run great on it. Beat the Genshin Impact, as it doesn't drop any frame. It does heat up after 15 minutes, and you can see that the game does run at the maximum settings. COD Warzone and Battleground also runs at 120 FPS at max settings, which is to be expected with the new iPhone. But this new chip also supports ray tracing, which unlocks the AAA titles found on the PS4, which is just crazy. And it does dictate how long the iPhone has leaped in terms of gaming performance. Mind you that this isn't the exact same games available on PS4, but while connecting to an external screen, along with the PS4 controller, heck, you can play the usual games just like a PS4 or PS5. Be it the Assassin's Creed Mirage or the Resident Evil Village, it runs great. And it does heat up the phone during long sessions. Let's also compare the result with 15 Pro Max, and usually the boost of 16.5% for single core and 23% for multi-core. And the GPU has gone up by 15%. So to sum things up, it has gone up to 18% of improvement over the A17 Pro. The 3D bench ray tracing stress test shows up to 39% of improvement at the start, but does go down to 12%. So which makes me wonder, is the 16 Pro really throttling because of the small size or maybe the smallest heatsink found on this phone? The overall score for the 16 Pro Max is 12.5% higher than the 15 Pro Max and 25% higher than the 14 Pro Max, making it really hard to upgrade just over the CPU. But comparing the CPUs between the 16 and the 15, is just 6% higher, and 14 Pro Max is just behind by 36%, which is a weird upgrade. And the 15 Pro Max was definitely an upgrade over the 14 Pro Max. Keep in mind though, my iPhone 16 Pro constantly outperformed the 16 Pro Max, as it was 7% higher on CPU and 8% higher on GPU scores, which might be due to the software which was in beta. But then when I compared this for the sustained performance between the Pro Max and the Pro model, it did 27% better sustained performance over the smaller Pro, which concludes that the heatsink in the new Pro Max is actually making the difference here, which can't be said about the smaller Pro. Now checking with the S24 Ultra, the score just varies through the apps, and I must say the difference between both the phones are a mixed result. The Geekbench score on iPhone is always ahead of Samsung by 40% in single core and 20% in multi-core. Coming to the GPU though, and it does come close to just 5% better than the iPhone, and stability for both is at 68 and 71%, which is just amazing for Samsung. And kudos for the upgrade to Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Antutu on the other hand does come with a better score for Samsung, which is just 1.5% higher, which is actually a surprising win for Samsung. All of this upgrades over the performance is just for the Apple Intelligence this year, which isn't available, and it's gonna come next year in Australia. So stay tuned for that, as I will be making a new video on that. Display on this phone has been upgraded as well. It has gone up from 6.3 inches to 6.1 inches from the previous Pro, but it still maintains the small form factor of a small phone. You can see the size difference comparing with the 14 Pro. It's a bit taller and wider in size, and the screen as well. And also comparing the 16 Pro Max with the 15 Pro Max, it has gone up in size and is the largest iPhone so far, and it enters the S24 Ultra's territory, but that phone has a freaking stylus inside it. This is a Retina XDR display which goes up to 120Hz and also has 2000 nits of brightness, similar to the 14 Pro, but it does go down to 1 nit of brightness, down from 1.9 nits found on the 15 Pro Max. Watching content on the screen is amazing as the display goes from edge to edge, which is a good visual change. And different apps also look immersive on this. Even the videos are full screen on this. Let's check some 4K clips, and it's similar experience to the older 15 and even the 14. While we are here, let's compare the speaker quality with the 15 Pro Max and the S24 Ultra as well. I have been getting some ghost touches while playing the games due to the smaller bezels. And I only noticed this when I grabbed the skin for it. And not everyone is going to have an issue, as everyone is going to put a case on their phone. But if you have a skin or you rock your phone naked, you're gonna experience this. And I used to get this while I had the S10 Plus. Software has been the iOS 18 that has just been upgraded, and the early version of Apple Intelligence is available here, but it's not the same as shown on the WWDC event. That will be coming next year in Australia. This is running on iOS 18.1, and there are many features on here that I'm not gonna cover, but the main feature that comes to the mind are the apps that you can place anywhere on the screen, and also the control center and widgets. Also, you can finally change the app themes, as you can turn your apps to dark mode and even tint your apps. I'm not going to go in details of iOS 18 as this is an upgrade that's going to be system-wide for all the iPhones after the iPhone 10. But the developer software isn't having any issues and bugs, and it's smooth sailing so far. This phone is going to get at least 6 years of software support, which goes up to iOS 24 or even iOS 25, which is a crazy support for a device. I have found few major bugs on this iPhone, but the one thing that comes to my mind is that I wasn't able to share Instagram photos using the photographic styles on this phone. But it has been solved with the iOS 18.1 upgrade, so that's all good. Sorry to interrupt, but I was just about to upload the video right now, and iOS 18.2 just hit, and it actually brought the Apple Intelligence onto this phone. Mind you that this doesn't have all the features, but the ones that I have tested have a bit of use case here and there in my day-to-day life. The notable features, which are image creation, are still in limited access, but we do have access to visual intelligence in it. Here you can just keep hold of the camera button and you can click a photo, wherein you can either ask ChatGPT or do a reverse Google image search, which are the basic features for now. Here, if I search for the mother drink, it can easily recognize it. Now, ChatGPT has been built into the CD and you can find it in the settings as well. You don't have to sign in to ChatGPT to use it though. And you can definitely ask Siri to open up ChatGPT requests. So you can ask it for the GPT related questions and request, and you can generate an image with it as well and do the usual GPT search too. And finally, writing tools are available in it as well. And you can see the use cases while writing a long essay. But it was available on my S24 Ultra as well, and I never really used it. Also, you can now set the default apps. And finally, you can use some other browser if you want to use it. Battery has been upgraded on this iPhone as well, and it has gone up by 9.4% on Pro to 3582 mAh, and Apple has promised 2 extra hours of screen on time from the previous model. But I haven't noticed any more screen on time from this device compared to the others. It does last an entire day, but you might have to charge this every evening by like 8 or 9 p.m, which is a good enough battery life for this device. Apple has also improved the charging on this device, which does go up to 40 watts for wired and 25 watts for wireless charging, which might be due to the Type-C cable that has been updated, which is a great upgrade to battery. And so for the upgraded watts, they have also applied some extra measures in the settings to preserve it over the long time. Now it says the cycle count as well in the settings, and also you can set the battery charge limit in between 80 to 100%. But you're not going to get the fast cable in the box as it's still stuck with the 2.0 speeds for transfer and charging. All of the other basic things on this device have been the same and great. Like the call quality has been updated due to the extra mics found on this phone, and the network has been upgraded to the Qualcomm's X70 modem, which is better for connectivity. The Wi-Fi has been gone up from 6E to 7, wherein you can connect two Wi-Fis and it will be intelligently switching between both of them and connecting them at the same time to get the maximum speeds on your end. Comparing the speed test with cellular network on both the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro, and the 16 comes out on top, which makes sense. I had run this test multiple times, but just to make sure we get the same results every time. But when connected to Wi-Fi, the speeds are definitely faster, and you can see it's almost twice as fast as the previous model. Now finally coming to the conclusion of this phone, is this worth buying in 2024? So this phone offers quite new features compared to the older models. This phone comes with Type-C, which has faster charging in it and data transfer speeds as well. Also comes with bigger screen and smaller bezels, which is a good improvement. And also it has improved cameras over the previous model, which can shoot a bit faster, and the video has gone up to 120 FPS as well. It also has full days worth of battery life, which can be improved. And the titanium body feels much lighter and the compact form factor feels amazing, which are better upgrades over the previous iPhone models. But there are also some gimmicks that might be the cons on this phone. Camera button might take a lot of time to get used to it, but also the cases that are available have this weird cutout for the camera button, which is annoying while holding the phone. Battery life on this is good, but it can be improved a bit further as well, as I might not complain if the phone was a bit thicker with a bit larger battery. And it also comes with Type-C cable that's just 2.0 speeds, which is a lot less compared to what we are getting with this phone. And I really miss the old iPhone Pros, where you used to get the cable, charger, and even the headphones. Also, I wish I could record the regular videos of the external drive, just like the ProRes video. Apple Intelligence is here on the new update, but I'm not sure if it's useful a lot in day-to-day use as it's still in beta mode and doesn't have the full capability to use the Siri and ChatGPT integration in it. So I'll keep that aside for now. This iPhone Pro model does get pretty hot while in intensive workload, just while playing games or just video editing on it. And some users have been complaining about the 16 Pro overheating and draining a lot of battery. But I haven't had any of those issues. But then again, I have been using this phone in winters, so I will be testing this in summers and updating the review. Seeing all of the pros and cons of this device, I can definitely conclude that the 16 Pro isn't worth buying. And if you want to save some money, you can definitely go with the 16 this year, which is a much better upgrade than the 15, or you can even go with the 15 Pro Max from last year, as that will be the oldest phone that will be getting the Apple Intelligence on that, which you will be getting for a great deal in the refurbished market or in the stores at a cheaper price. If you want to see a dedicated review for the 15 Pro Max, just let me know in the comments below. I will make that happen. Only reason I will be switching to the 16 Pro is the faster lens, that is faster in the Pro RAW photos, and also the 120 FPS found on the video mode on here, which is not found on any other phone out there. Which is a niche, to be honest, but if you want those, you should get the new one. Let me know in the comments below if you will be upgrading to this phone or if you are switching to the older phone that you have before this. Thanks for watching this video, guys. That's been it, and I will see you in the next one. Chole.